Welcome to NETA LiveWire. Today we are talking with Drew Welton, Vice President of Business and Technical Development for intellirent and a senior member of the IEEE Transformers Committee. So welcome, Drew.
Thank you, Jill. It's a pleasure to be here.
So let's just get started, jump right into a few questions. Challenges do you see ahead for 2026 in our industry, and what are some of the key initiatives as a NETA community we can work on together to overcome?
I think, first of all, Jill, the biggest concern that we've had in the industry, and this is something that has probably started coming out of COVID to be a challenge in 2026, and that is resources, available resources. And of course, our industry is growing leaps and bounds right now. The infrastructure that needs a terrible updating, the new business development with data centers is putting quite a demand on resources from our NETA people. And the first resource, of course, is materials with long lead times, with difficult procurement. It's been really a challenge, not only for end users, but for the NETA environment as well. Test equipment is difficult can seem like it's difficult to get a hold of in a timely manner. And, the costs keep going up. The tariffs are having an impact on availability as well. But I think probably the biggest challenge, and I don't think many would disagree with me in terms of resources, and that is personnel. And it's a challenge, first of all, when we see that, NETA employees are changing jobs left and right, and jumping ship and joining other opportunities. Makes it a real, a difficult challenge for those that are, running these, these companies. And so I think the first thing we have to really concentrate on is what do we need in terms of retention, because the cost associated with recruiting and training and development is a burden. And if there's one thing I hear in the industry, it's like we don't have enough people to keep up with the demand. And what I think, retention is all about, what do we have to do to keep the people that we've hired, those people that we work so hard to bring up to speed and to train. The second is the recruiting process itself, getting more people engaged in this, being a NETA field technician as a career. And I think that, let's take football, for example. If you're going to be a pro football player, you start that at a very early age. You start that in high school, and then you get recruited by a college, and then you show your skills and you get recruited, hopefully in a professional football establishment. But, I think one of the things that I'm so excited about, and, being part of NETA's training committee, is the initiative we've taken with the apprenticeship program. And I think this will go a long way in helping educate young people as to what the career has, this type of career has in store for them. The other is training. And, we're in such a hurry to get the job done, and we're in such a hurry to get people to work. Are we compromising the training initiative? Are we making sure that our newly hired technicians know what they're doing when they get in the field? And, of course, our biggest concern with that is safety. So, rising to the challenge of making sure that we're doing our best to retain the talent that we've hired and trained, to recruit new employees, to bring them up to speed, to make sure that they're focusing on their NETA level, certifications, is going to be a challenge next year. And I think that the initiative that the training committee and those at NETA are doing right now is a real positive step forward.
Well, that's great. Thank you. Thank you for that insight. I know it's been a pretty busy year for intellirent this year.
It has indeed.
Yeah, and it's been really busy for NETA as well. So as you turn your sights to 2026, what do you think that intellirent's key focus is going to be?
Well, we've gone through tremendous growth coming out of COVID, Jill. I mean, we've as you know, probably know, we've changed ownerships in 2025. We were owned by a PE firm, Platinum Equity, and part of the global IEEE corporation. Well, Platinum Equity had made a decision that they were going to sell us as a separate division from IEEE, and we were acquired by Sandbrook Capital, And those of you in the industry that are owned by PE firms and get traded by PE firms know that that can be kind of a scary endeavor, especially when all of a sudden you have to, you're operating independently and you have to establish your own legal department, your own HR department, your own finance department, hire a CFO, hire a controller. It's been a real challenge for us in 2025. And I will say this, that the management team at IntelliRent, led by our president, Neil McCaw, has done a tremendous job getting us up to speed and being able to handle the massive increase that we've had in business this year. So, and what does that mean in terms of what we need for resources? Well, we had to spend a considerable amount of money in growing our inventory this year, which our capital investors have so graciously allowed us to do, and expand our personnel. We have almost doubled in size in terms of people in production, in terms of people in sales, in terms of our leadership team that has grown quite well. And it's very, very much an exciting time. In 2026, we want to bring more awareness to our customers in terms of what additional capabilities we can bring to the industry, and that would be our calibration services, our asset management services, things that make people's lives a lot easier when it comes to having test equipment out in the field. So we're very, very excited about 2026. And keep pushing forward with the wonderful growth that we've experienced and our relationship with NETA. I mean, what's really important to us is to, help support NETA with things like webinars and, doing presentations at Power Test and, all the things that we've done throughout the year and just increase that awareness. And one of the things I'm personally excited about is we've hired a new director of technical services and technical awareness, and that would be Dave Stelmack, who many of you may have known was with Omicron for 16 plus years. And he and I worked together before I left Omicron, and he's going to be a great addition to our team, and you'll see him around NETA quite a bit moving forward.
Well, that's pretty exciting, Drew. Thank you so much. I know that IntelliRent and NETA have had a long-standing, mutually supportive relationship, and just really appreciate all that your organization and you personally do to help us advance our educational program. So thanks very much for that.
Oh, you bet.
So one of the things coming up for NETA in 2026 is the Power Test Conference, which we have annually.
Oh, yes.
And so not to give any secrets away, but I know IntelliRent has probably been working hard planning for it for a number of months now. What can we expect to see from you personally and from the team?
Well, great question, Jill. And you're right. We have been working on it for quite some time now. We put a lot of work and effort into making the most out of Power Test we can. Personally, for me, there's always the first thing I always do is get there early so I can be a part of the training committee meeting, and we'll have another meeting. We just had a nice Teams meeting a few days ago, kind of updating everybody on where we stand. And then, of course, we have the Corporate Alliance Partner meeting, which kind of sets the pace for what we're going to be seeing throughout the year, the upcoming year with NETA. And then, of course, I also have a presentation on Monday that'll be on dielectric frequency response. And, I talk about this subject a lot, but this time we're taking a little bit of a different approach in what we present. And that'll be more of a hands-on how to perform the test, how to look and analyze the results. And then, of course, the big event on Tuesday where we have our booth. And this is something that I personally am very excited about. This was an idea that our team had, and that was to incorporate knowledge stations in our trade show booth. And a knowledge station will be segmented into transformers, relays, circuit breakers, cable testing, instrument transformers, power quality, where we have not only equipment, but we have live presentations where we want to introduce some of the latest technologies with testing certain apparatuses. So we want to continue along with that educational event, not to mention some really neat giveaways and a little bit of a surprise that we always have in the booth itself. So, and then after the show, of course, the following day, I think on Wednesday, We have a 4-hour training session again on transformer testing, and of course, the last couple of years, it's been how to keep your transformer from failing, and this time around, instead of just focusing on the application, we're actually going to talk about the actual performing of the test, and again, results analysis, things like moisture analysis, again, mechanical failure, insulation failure, bushings, load tap changers, and things as such. So it always seems to get a good, we get good response from what we've done in the past in this direction, and I think the students and the attendees will really get something out of this session as well.
Well, great. That's the contribution you guys make at Power Test is just amazing, and Power Test is kind of all about what's going on currently. And I think the transformer sessions are probably the most popular. I know lots of times there's standing room only in them. So thanks for all your contribution there.
Sure.
Looking forward though, like ahead, really ahead, like 3, 5, 6 years. So, NETA has another conference. It's called EPIC, and it stands for the Electrical Power Innovations Conference. And we had our first one in 2024, and IntelliRent, you were part of that. It was a really excellent conference where a lot of the leaders in our industry came to talk about what's going to be happening going forward over 3, 5, 10, 15 years, so they can have those insights to begin to strategize on how to move their organizations in that direction and kind of stay ahead of the curve rather than sort of playing catch up,
Absolutely.
So we're going to have another EPIC in 2026. It's going to be in October 11th through the 13th. And I know IntelliRent's planning to be there again. They are actually an anchor sponsor for EPIC 26. So thank you again for that.
Sure.
And so just looking ahead to that, what areas do you feel are important for the attendees that are going to be attending the EPIC conference? What's important for them to take away at that event?
Well, Jill, I think you mentioned it earlier, and you hit it right on the head. And with the Power Test and all the other events we do, we're always talking about the here and now. What we can do to improve safety, what we can do to improve the job in front of us, what we can do the here and now. What I envision with EPIC is that as you said, we're looking ahead to the future. What is it what are the things that are going to be most important to our members 5, 10 years from now? We have a tremendous growth opportunity ahead of us, and along with that growth opportunity comes a lot of challenges, and there's a lot of new technologies out there that artificial intelligence, AI, is certainly going to have its influence in the power industry. And how do we best utilize that? What do we have to be fearful of, or what do we need to be cautious of? Is cybersecurity something that's going to really take a front seat with all the automation that we have in place? So EPIC to me is the forward-looking, forward-thinking, where are we going and what do we need to be concerned with, and how do we prepare? I don't think right now, if you look at just the growth in terms of data center activity and where we plan on going, and the power that's needed for these installations is going to be tremendous. How are we going to support that? What do we need in terms of resources? What do we need in terms of education? And these are things that we don't always think about. We always think about how do we get the job done that we have now, and how do we keep up with the things that we have right in front of us. So this is my vision of what EPIC brings to the attendees, is where we're going in the future and how do we prepare.
Thank you, Drew. Thank you for joining NETA LiveWire. It's been a very informative conversation, and we look forward to seeing you at Power Test and seeing what IntelliRent has in store.
Well, thank you, Jill. We look forward to it again.